What is up, everybody? We have a really cool treat tonight. The Kinda Funny Gamescast did a big old Todd Howard interview earlier today while I was busy doing another stream, and Ali shared this in our Discord for us to take a look at. I've seen some clips already. There's a whole bunch of information in this um, regarding Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6, a whole bunch of other stuff. I am really looking forward to sinking my teeth into this. I cannot take credit for this. If you want to watch the original, there is a link down below if you want to go check this out. But again, this is the Kinda Funny Gamescast who originally did this interview earlier today. It's already making the rounds everywhere this afternoon. I wanted to take the time to sink my teeth in and watch it firsthand as opposed to the clips. You guys know I'm a huge Bethesda fan. I love Starfield. I can't wait for Elder Scrolls 6. I can't wait for the next Fallout. Love the show. I love all things Bethesda. And I know we have a very strong Bethesda community within our ranks. So thanks, Thander. I appreciate that. Thank you for the congratulations. Yeah, yesterday was our 5th-year anniversary of streaming and content creation full time. Pretty awesome to cross that milestone. I cannot wait to see what the future holds. We are live tonight on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. Normally we also have TikTok, but when we watch events like this, I don't do the TikTok version because they get cranky about these things. But we're going to sink our teeth in and see what Todd has to say. So without further ado, let's watch.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Kinda Funny Games cast for Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside studio head and creative director Bethesda, Todd Howard. Hello, Todd.
Hey, how you doing? Great to see you.
It's good to see you after you dodged me at Dice.
I did. That is completely my fault. We always catch up at Dice.
An annual tradition to get a cup of coffee at Dice. An annual tradition. And you left me hanging because I didn't hit you up until the week of. That was my mistake. That was my problem.
I think it's better to do it this way in front of everybody else.
In front of everyone. Yeah, I saw the chat earlier. Was like, is this live? This is live. Super chatting on youtube.com/kindafunnygames. Ask Todd your questions. Of course, remember, we couldn't do this without our Patreon producers at patreon.com/kindafunny. Carl Jacobs, Omega Buster, Delaney the Psalm Twining. Thank you so much. Todd, how are you?
I'm awesome. It was a great Dice. It's been a crazy year for us. So just a few things going on. Just wrap the Fallout season 2. We're writing season 3. We had Oblivion Remastered the past year. All the Fallout 76 updates. We're working on Starfield content. And of course, the big games we have coming in the future. Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
So, this or that.
Just a few, just little things. You start off, of course, walking out on a Nintendo Partner Direct this time to announce all those games coming to Nintendo Switch 2. No big deal there. And then you jump into Dice and you get going. But yeah, I think that's the thing. It's so great for you to come back. Thank you so much. Of course, you, April 29th.
This is the show I listen to. I tell you that.
I know you do.
Like this, we use Discord. Everybody know you use Discord for
They
this?
do, yeah.
Okay, so I have Discord on my work computer here at the office. It's the only thing I've ever used it for. So every time I boot my computer, Discord comes up and I'm like, I don't think I'm on Kinda Fun. And then
you can uninstall, You haven't been on since April 29th, 2024.
Like, well, now I have a reason.
Well, you see, usually when I call people on the show,
there's a whole bunch of new news.
So I'll just start doing that for you. You can
do that. You have mine.
I know. Well, I don't want to bug you all the time.
You don't abuse it, so I appreciate you.
Well, that's the thing. Once the number's given out, you understand it's a red light. Yeah, here we go. It's go time. Anytime you get a phone call from me in the middle of the day, you're going to be live on the show. But yeah, I have so many questions to ask you on the record, I guess, which is why it makes more sense for you to return. Again, you ushered in Kinda Funny Gamescast as a daily show on April 29th, 2024. I can't thank you enough for that. We have been steamrolling ever since with daily content, the number 1 and number 2 video game daily podcast in the world, all because of you, Todd Howard. But I digress.
I think you had something to do with it.
Of course, let's get to the topic of the show. Todd. It's Todd Howard. So many places to start, Todd. And I think the only logical place to start is, of course, Starfield. I know some, Elder Scrolls 6, when the Fallout remastered rumors, all this. We'll get to that. All right, we'll get to that, everybody watching live and watching later. When you get a show, you're allowed to ask about your favorite game. Because I was offended this morning when I went to the No Sodium Starfield subreddit, which I go to frequently, if not daily. I'm there lurking and looking. Agent Shane said, of course, watch him talk about everything but Starfield. And then, of course, on that thread, I said, I am one of you. I will get us Starfield answers or else. Todd, what the hell is going on with Starfield? Because even before I let you answer, I have never had a more wackadoo preview than what you all let me do for Starfield's upcoming content, where you let me go to a thing with a bunch of other creators and we were told you're not allowed to report on this or talk about this, but you're allowed to say you saw it. And so now for like the last 4 months, every so often one of them says that, people flip out thinking it's Starfield 2.0 and what's going on. Where are we? What's going on with Starfield?
No, first of all, thanks for the Reddit comment there. I'm a big Redditor, so I do read Reddit a lot. It's my sort of favorite signal to noise, platform as it comes to that stuff. And yeah, look, obviously we've been working on a lot of Starfield content. We haven't talked about it yet because, the end of last year too is particularly for us. We sort of periods of time where we focus on IPs or franchises, and Fallout really obviously dominated the fall and a little bit early this year.
Big boost.
You've seen it. And I can tell everybody we're going to be talking about it, really soon. We're moving into a phase where we're ready to talk about Starfield.
Okay.
And really show that in the right way and what's coming to the game. We've been doing a lot of work that we like a lot. It is not Starfield 2.0. I've seen some of that, so I don't, for expectation setting, I think it's the kind of thing where if you love Starfield, we think you're going to love this. It's, updates and things that, change the game, not in an isolated way, but sort of, meta.
Sure.
Using outer space and things in ways that we haven't. But look, if Starfield's something that, didn't connect with you right away, or you bounced off it or found it boring in places, I don't think this is going to change that fundamentally. But if you're someone who loves Starfield, like you, Greg,
yeah.
we think it's really, really, we're really, really happy with it. We like it a lot.
I'm going to pause right here because I think he just said something that I think is very, very, very important. This will end up getting clipped out for its own video later on YouTube, which is it's not Starfield 2.0. And if you kind of bounced off some things or didn't really connect with Starfield when it first came out, it's probably not going to change your mind. But if you love Starfield, like I do and like Greg does, then it's going to be really exciting content for those of us who enjoy Starfield as a game and as a franchise. So I think that's very good to hear because he's clearly setting expectations, because the rumor mill has been going nonstop for the past 4 or 5 months ever since that event that they mentioned took place, where these creators went and signed an NDA and couldn't talk about what they saw, but they were allowed to say that they were there to start sort of this pre-hype buzz around it. And you had people going out there and making these gigantic claims about, oh, there's a huge Starfield 2.0 revamp. It's going to be like the Cyberpunk 2.0 revamp. And I like how he's literally coming out of the gate saying, yeah, that's not true, guys. It's not Starfield 2.0. It's not going to change your mind if you already didn't like Starfield. But if you already love the game, it's going to be more cool stuff for those of you who do. Yeah, exactly, Crimson. He's basically saying haters gonna hate. Haters gonna hate. And the rest of us are gonna have fun and play Starfield. So that is really exciting news for me personally. I also think it's very important for us to focus on the fact that, again, Starfield 2.0 is not a thing. It's not Starfield 2.0. It's just some additional polish and some additional stuff that those of us who love the game are going to continue to love. And those of you who hate Bethesda and hate Starfield are still going to continue to hate because it's not what you want. And I'm okay with that because it's more Starfield and I'm always going to love more Starfield. Neener, neener, neener.
And we just, we have such a big audience on the game. It's really like a Game
I'm one of
Pass
those.
hours beast in terms of Starfield for us. And we're really, really, happy with the results, and our audience is great.
Is that imminent? You're preparing. You're getting ready to talk. How close to talking are we?
It's soonish. It is soonish. I don't want to spoil the day, but it's coming soon. Yeah.
And then I guess the next one for you to dodge is, do you feel like, is this going to put a bow on Starfield for you, for the team to then move on to all the other projects you're working on?
Look, we do have a lot of projects, and so I think balancing that with the size of our studio, we do have a lot of development partners also, but still we're relatively small, just over 500 people across everything.
Super tiny.
That's the trick. That's the trick. Well, across Fallout
I know.
and Starfield and the Elder Scrolls work, I think balancing that, what's important for a period of time, that's kind of a trick that we find ourselves in a lot. But no, we're doing more Starfield stuff coming up. We've been laying that out, and so it's something we see continuing, for a while. We also have all the creators. They're doing amazing stuff in the game. So I think working with them also kind of keeps really good content coming into the game, and we're going to be a part of that as well.
Yeah, I think that's something that, for me is, as a Starfield sicko, as I keep saying, so impressive. As I think, as much as I have loved Fallout in the past, I was always on consoles. So the modding community, the creation community wasn't my thing for a long time. I know eventually, obviously, it came to consoles. But with Starfield, having it out the gate so quickly, I've been shocked to see how much that has kept the game alive for me, of dropping in for these big additions, whether they be from Bethesda proper or whether they be from the community. And even going as far as it was 2 months ago, last month? I think it was last month, January, right? Time's a flat circle and a blur right now, where they did StarCon. Did you see this, where they did like a little Starfield digital convention? It was on Zoom all day. People came together to talk about their creations and what they were doing and where they were going. I loved it. I had such a great time.
Yeah, look, our community there is amazing. Our creators and modders who have been with us for so long, we love it. And I honestly still think it's early days for us. We're always trying to find new ways to support that community. I think the content is, absolutely incredible, but we have a ways to go in terms of making it easier for them, putting it in front of everybody, saying, hey, try this out. With our older games and creations of Fallout 4, we still have issues when we update the game. It breaks mods, and so we see all that. So we still feel like, even though we've been doing this type of thing for several decades, that we're still early in what that looks like for everybody.
So take me from that last statement to the general future of Bethesda games, right? You make this game, you make this type of game, you make this thing.
I want to pause real quick before he goes any further, because I am someone who only recently started getting into mods because of Starfield. I've played Bethesda games for years. I never really worried about mods before this. And then watching Babylonia Rising and his community, who are heavy into the modding scene, I got Watchtower and played with that and really enjoyed it. And recently I started a fresh Starfield playthrough for funsies a few days ago, and there was a whole bunch of new like Bethesda stuff, and then they had in that category of Bethesda mods, there was a bunch of mods from community members that they were promoting that were free, that you could add on to the Starfield base game. So the first thing I did before I started my recent Starfield from scratch playthrough for funsies was I just installed all of those mods. And I think that that's a really interesting, for me, just starting to wet my feet with the modding community. And the mods that are there. If you look at Fallout and Elder Scrolls Online, they've got decades of modding behind them. Starfield's been out 2 years. So if you look at the amount of content that is available out there for games like Skyrim, Morrowind, Oblivion, Fallout 4, Fallout 3, etc., there's decades of mods, and we're 2 years into Starfield. And with the whole 1,000 planets, I feel like there's a bigger space to explore, while also realizing that we're playing on the word space there. And I really am excited for what they've got coming down the pipeline for the rest of this, as they continue to evolve the game and to get into, deeper into the modding community. And personally, on a personal note, I am looking forward to getting deeper into the modding scene myself, specifically with Starfield. Not so much with the other games, but Starfield is my favorite Bethesda game at this point, and I really do enjoy every time I jump in that game. 600 plus hours, I uncover something new, and with all of the mods that are coming out now, I just saw a new ship mod that they were promoting on their social media the other day. It looked really cool. So kudos to them for continuing to focus on that.
Do you see that changing? I think the way you listen to this show, the way we talk about Bethesda games, open world RPGs in general, expanded out for the video game world, you hear so much about, well, the Bethesda engine, and then me talking about like, yo, Bethesda makes Bethesda games, and so it's silly for us to show up and think you're going to get
Bethesda
something
makes
different.
Bethesda
But
games.
as we
Yes.
see the success of Baldur's Gate 3 and all the choices and consequences there, as we see people continue to push it and get nerdy with it, I think of the Outer Worlds 2 and the way they did perks and stuff like this. Like, do you guys batten down the hatches and you're committed to your engine and this is what we're making and this is how it's going to be, or are you letting things come in, influence, and do you see that changing as everything evolves?
I mean, I think if you look at our games, we've sort of always evolved. We do have a certain style that we like and our fans like that we want to get better and better at. I think in some ways, well, in many ways, Fallout 76 and Starfield are a little bit of a creative detour from kind of that classic Elder Scrolls Fallout, a Skyrim or a Fallout 3 or a Fallout 4, Oblivion, where you're exploring a world in a certain way. And, as we come back to Elder Scrolls 6 that we're doing now, we're coming back to that kind of classic style that we've missed, that we know really, really well. You talked about, tech and things like that. We spent the last, several years bringing Creation Engine 2, which powers Starfield, up to Creation Engine 3, that's going to power Elder Scrolls 6 and beyond.
New Creation Engine.
And, obviously we do all the rendering things. We're really happy with the new stuff that we're doing, but also kind of world systems loading, how we bring things into the world, how we get that detail close to the camera kind of immediately. And so, but it's still, we have a style of game that we really, really like that I think people expect from us.
Sure.
And there's a lot of innovation to be done there still, so that when you step into a world, you feel like you're experiencing it really for the first time, a game like that. And I think, we're happy with where it's headed right now. That's what I could say.
Okay. In that, I mean, you brought it up. You said the Elder Scrolls 6. So, I mean, like, how is that going? Because it's been, let me check my calendar, 7 years.
Since the announcement?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think everybody knows that why we announced it that way then. It's not my preference. My preference is always you hear nothing, and then one day the game is out. Like, there's an announcement and the game is out. Like, that's my perfect scenario. That can't always be the case. And at that time, we wanted to signal to people, because it's the obvious question. When you announce a 76, are you still going to be doing single-player games? So you announce a Starfield. The next question is, well, what about Elder Scrolls 6? So that really was... and even then, look, we know where the game is set. We know some things we're doing. Hey, this is going to be happening. And so, look, like I said, it's going well. We're happy with it. It's going to be a while yet. We're happy with where we pushed the technology and how the game is coming together. We're able to play it. We're about to pass a big milestone internally. The majority of the studio is on the game and some of our partners. So. It's weird. I'm not here to sell anything or talk. Really, it's really a catch-up conversation. Yeah. So I feel bad because people want information. I appreciate that, but I'm much more, I like to think long-term about when you really see the game and hear about it, focusing on that moment and kind of, not today or the time in between.
Well, I assure you, I doubt very few people showed up to the Kind of Funny Games cast expecting you to show footage today. So don't worry, you're in a safe spot.
There you go. That was it.
Yeah, we showed some footage.
Talk to me a little inside the studio game dev stuff, jumping off of the Elder Scrolls 6, but not obviously giving me stuff you're not going to give me. You talk about the majority of the studio being on it, right? So that's 250 plus people who are working on that. How do you keep that straight? You know what I mean? How do you, as a studio, as a team, as multiple teams, as multiple project managers, bosses, organize something of that magnitude?
Oh, yeah, it's tricky, but we do have production directors on every project and creative directors. I tend to spend most of my time in the new things. So most of my time is on Elder Scrolls 6.
Sure.
And then, the other projects, we have great leaders sort of across the studio. You think about Elder Scrolls, the majority of the folks who made Skyrim are actually still here. And the studio is an amazing place where we have people that have been here
I got to pause for a
decades.
second. This is where I love it when I get the chance to come across the people who will hate on Bethesda and claim that the next Elder Scrolls game is going to be like woke or garbage or slop. And it's like you do realize, like he just said, that the bulk of the people working on the next Elder Scrolls game are the same people who have been working on the past several Elder Scrolls games. Now, obviously, not everyone is there. People move on and have different careers after 20, 30 years. They want to move on and do different things. But it is not a scenario where it's a brand new team working on the IP. It's the same people who have been working on this thing that they love for a very long time, and they're here doing what they love and continuing to build really cool things.
But we also have a lot of new talent that's coming to the studio with skills they've picked up at other studios, or they've grew up as fans of our games and now they're professionals. So I think the studio makeup is in a really, really great
We're
spot.
gonna lose the visual for just 1 second.
But yeah,
here.
it's a juggling act.
Oh, it might not.
Fallout 76 is so popular.
Yeah.
We have another big season coming out. It's like our 65th or 66th update to that game.
I did my homework. 66. Don't worry, of course. Season 24 in the backwoods coming out March 3rd. I'm prepped. I'm ready.
With Bigfoot. There you go. All right, we'll plug that.
We'll get there.
But look, when you have a big live service game in that way,
there we lost it.
It does take a lot of time and headspace.
I'll be right back
from the studio, but great team on that, great partners on that. So that's in a good spot. It's tricky, but we've got.
Hang on, I screwed it up. That's on me. I had a thing I had to go do. We had to go ban somebody, and I had screwed up my.
Gotten better at it over the years and overlapping our projects, and bringing key folks onto projects that really need them at the right time.
What's up,
jump
Sushi?
off of there, that 76 conversation. Something I think that's interesting since we last talked, right? And obviously we've all been through the journey of Bethesda in general. Like you said, you announced 76, but you also announced Elder Scrolls 6. So you say, we're still doing what we know. Now that we're so far on the 76 train, and obviously we've been up, down, around curves all through, blah, blah. Does the studio feel like, hey, this is such a great addition to the portfolio? Because I think about when, the jumping platform allegiances here, Naughty Dog pulled the plug on the Last of Us multiplayer thing. And their statement was like, hey, we started down this train of making a multiplayer game and we realized it was going to take us so far away from making the single player games we're known for. It seems like for all the bumps along the way, you guys have found a way to do that, but maintain and still make the solo stuff, make this thing, and try to satisfy two very different audiences.
Yeah, look, it was incredibly difficult. It was difficult to get it to launch, and it didn't launch great. And then it was even harder to sort of
I was busy when this came out earlier
pull
today,
it out of that.
So shout out to Ali for
when it
giving us the link.
getting really popular again, maintain it. We're really fortunate. Look, the community around that game is incredible.
Yes, the community for Fallout 76 is amazing.
There were so many people that wanted to play a game like that. Granted, not every Fallout fan, we realize that, given the history of it and the single player nature of it. But so many people wanted to play a game like that. They kind of, stuck with us. And in many respects, it's the game that we've done I'm the most proud of, because it's so hard to do and then maintain as a relevant game. And I think if you look across the industry, the amount of games like it that there have been are come and gone, and here's 76 still there with big numbers and doing well and being relevant. And it's a lot of energy in the studio. Look, people love it. The team on it, led by John Rush, they just do a fantastic job. And you see I get to see the roadmap that's planned for the game, and it gets even better. So we love it. Our community loves it. And obviously, as you have these Fallout moments with the TV show, it gives us an avenue to be updating and adding new things. The Ghoul comes in to Burning Springs and et cetera. So just a vibrant community, and something where it's great to have that community touch point. Whereas when you're doing a single player game, you don't have it as much. You're kind of doing it outside the game. Obviously, we have mods and creations, but not quite the same as a game like Fallout 76.
No, for sure. I think that's what's been so interesting. I see Mr. Hawks, one of our kind of funny best friends, but also a Fallout 76 super fan who podcasts about it all the time.
John's like,
He's
not that I
popping
have
off in the
1,400
super chats
hours
talking
of
in the radio
ESO or
chat
anything.
about it, and like what makes that community so special compared to the special community I'm in of Starfield and wanting to go do the creations, but making it that, hey, we're all coming together
If
to
you
do
give
this. So
me a
what did you find and how
Starfield
did you go off and chase that
online,
and have it be
I will no
more
life that
on that same
for
level
the
and on that
next
same
20
vibe, which I think
years.
is interesting. I think, you know, from my side of it, and I've talked about this obviously
Love
on
you,
a
honey,
multitude
but
of shows, but it's always so interesting. There was one
I've got
snarky
1,000
comment.
planets to
They're like, "Well,
explore
is there a Fallout
with my
76 community?"
friends.
Well, and it's like, no, there is. And what I always find so fascinating about video game communities is you don't know it until you find it. It's that thing where you move the rock, and you're like, oh my God, there's how many people over here playing this game that I've heard about, but I didn't realize had a thing going on. And to see the way you and Bethesda have made these different games with their different communities as a Starfield sicko. The people who think nobody plays Starfield, and I'm on this Reddit. I'm seeing the thing. I'm chasing the creations. I'm downloading everything. I'm preparing. Like, it's fascinating to me to see the different pockets of how you've built that. And I think to double back to 76, that was something that was so interesting late last year when I went out to play the Burning Springs preview stuff and see that it really was Bethesda's answer to the criticism so many people had of Fallout Season 1 debuting and then there being no new thing, no new game, no new content, nothing really to jump into to sink your teeth in. And like, we reported on it for days. It felt like Fallout 76 has reached this milestone of players because of the show. They're all in the top 10 again on Steam because of the show X, Y, and Z. And so to have the Ghoul come and be part of that, it was an interesting way to dovetail it without having to have a brand new game ready to go for it. Was that?
I will also say something that was really cool because I just recently did a from scratch playthrough of Fallout 76, which was sort of my first time, really sinking my teeth into the game beyond like 10 or 15 hours. We just wrapped up a big 85-hour playthrough. When you come out of the vault for the very first time and the ghoul is waiting for you right there, or when you go down the road and he's on the bridge, and if you're someone who came from the show and you came over to Fallout 76 and it's your first time playing a Fallout game, and you get to experience that moment of suddenly you're meeting Walton Goggins' character, and he's right there, and he's just like he is in the show. It is a very cool nerd moment, like for a fan of a franchise, to be able to do that. It would be the equivalent would be like if they had like an online Lord of the Rings game, and like they had Ian McKellen coming in and playing Gandalf and ready to go, and be there for you. That kind of stuff is really, really cool. And I don't know what it is with people on Kick tonight, but we got to ban another person for trying to spam their stuff. And I should have set this up on the other PC so that we don't lose the screen, but it is what it is.
An answer to that question of Season 1 when you really were like, oh man, everybody's rushing to play these games, but we don't have a brand new thing to do?
We had, first, with Season 1, we knew it would be popular. It was more popular than we even thought, but our goal was, let's make sure the games are ready, right? People are going to come to the games and, make sure they're ready. So updating Fallout 4, having new stuff in a 76. Fallout Shelter, the mobile game, still, I think the most played Fallout game more than all the other ones combined.
Outrageous.
Pretty sure.
Did he just...
And so making sure those games had new stuff and were ready for players.
Hang on.
In a good... And so making sure those games had new stuff and were ready for players in a game... Fallout Shelter, the mobile game, still, I think the most played Fallout game more than all the other ones combined.
Fallout Shelter is the most played Fallout game of all of the other Fallout games combined. Think about that for a minute. Because the Fallout franchise is a massive franchise, right? With millions upon millions of fans across all the games. And Fallout Shelter goes to show you the power of... It's because it's not just a mobile game, because it's a Sims management type game. I played it on the Xbox. That is a very interesting statistic to know.
Outrageous.
Pretty sure. And so making sure those games had new stuff and were ready for players in a good spot. And so you saw this big influx into 76 then, and people then staying around. So I think the show gives you this opportunity of people being curious and saying, I'm going to go play that, but the game has to be good and the game has to be ready. And fortunately, we were in a good spot. With
Yeah, because they
season
have
2,
lots
we just
of
had
good.
more runway, right?
Sure.
We had more runway in terms of, hey, what does this look like
Yeah,
for putting
probably
things from
machine.
the show and the game, and the Ghoul was so popular. So we're just able to start, earlier. And, as we go into season 3, we're sort of able to do the same thing where you're seeing sort of relevant things in Fallout 76 in particular, a little bit in the mobile games that you would then, see on TV that week. So, yeah.
Talk to me about that. Let's move over to Fallout TV. We just finished Fallout Season 2. Congratulations. What was that like, getting another bite of the apple, being able to come back to this with the cast, add people in like Macaulay Culkin? Like, again, how do you split your time of working on the games, but then also now there's a show going on in your worlds? Like, how was Season 2 for you different than Season 1? Start me there.
Yeah. I mean, great questions. Look, when you do season 1, I spend most of my time up front. What's the story we're going to tell? What are the scripts? What's the structure of this? Where's it going to go? How does it fit into the world of Fallout? And I cannot say enough. I've said this time and time again. Jonah Nolan, the whole cast and crew, people over at Kilter and Amazon, just have much passion they have poured into this and wanting to get it right. And a number of us here are involved on the art side, design side, and other things to hey, let's make sure this fits in the world. It looks the way it should in terms of the games and everything. Because we want it to be like one kind of holistic Fallout universe.
Yeah.
And I will say, season 1, you just don't know. It's entertainment. You're making a Fallout show. There's a lot of opinions on Fallout, obviously, because it's a franchise that jumps between, harsh drama, post-apocalyptic to B-movie, dark comedy, and it's a mashup of things. And so finding that tone that's going to work right in a linear way, and also for people that have never played the games, we felt really good about season 1, but you don't know.
Sure.
And to have it resonate the way it did, you come in, you sense everybody coming into season 2 with a lot of confidence. Okay, this works. We can kind of step on the gas in some areas. And the writers really wanted to go to New Vegas. They actually wanted to go there in the early pitches of season 1. And I said, I would save that. That's such an iconic thing for Fallout. It's better to let's establish the base and then we can go to New Vegas. And I thought they did a really, really good job in taking it there because it's tricky. You have an iconic area, a beloved game, particularly storylines that end different ways and really strong characters. And there's a million ways to fuck that up. And so it can be a bit of a minefield, right?
Sure.
And I thought they did a great job. We spent a lot of time saying let's not refute anything that happened in the games, but let's see if there's some areas that, the writers really want to push forward. And in particular, the use of House, who's just an incredible character. Like Justin Theroux just crushes it when he's on screen. You just want to see more and more and more scenes with him. So I thought they did a fabulous job. And we, you do kind of worry about sophomore slump. You see it in some other things that you all love in entertainment. And fortunately, people loved it, and we're on to season 3.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I've seen this reported, but I can't find a source. Is it true season 3 is starting to film in May, or is that just scuttlebutt?
The plan is to start this summer.
Okay.
I don't know the exact date, but it's being written now. And, Jonah and crew, we like to move fast. So we want to get these, yeah.
It's the antithesis of the Fallout games, right?
Fast,
huh?
Thanks, man. Good one.
I'll get there. Thank you.
Correct.
No problem. Thank you. You're like, interview over. Close Discord. Uninstall. Never come back.
Savage.
No. So talk to me a little bit about that. And I was wondering,
I do got to say, I appreciate the fact Todd has a very good sense of humor, because there would be some people who would take offense to that, but instead he just rolls with it because it's he knows, yeah, it takes time for this shit to get out. It is what it is, guys. Savage. That was great. It is impressive how they managed to manage all these things, for sure. They talked a bunch about Starfield stuff at the beginning, and I think there's more stuff coming up later on, because this is a whole big, huge, long hour thing, and we're barely 24 minutes in.
Is it interesting telling a story this way? Obviously, Fallout 76 and the updates, there's small updates, small story pieces, yada yada. But for your career in video games, you're putting out these gigantic things that people play for years and are always finding new things, blah, blah, blah. I was fascinated, I guess, watching Fallout Season 2 and even ending Fallout Season 2 and seeing so many people, upset might not be the right term, but criticizing, I guess, well, like, what was the point of the super mutant Ron Perlman? What about this? What, blah. And I was like, well, this is an ongoing episodic thing where they want to come back to it. And I was interested, I think it was over on Yahoo, right? Yeah, Yahoo. Mick over at Yahoo interviewed co-creator Geneva over there. And she was talking about like Geneva was talking about what's going on with season 3 and where they're going, and talking about like something that we're really excited to delve into as a show next season is Vegas. Historically in the games, it was a real hub of civilization. And the fact that we're not leaving New Vegas, right? We introduced New Vegas. We said, hey, it is as season 1 was, and I've talked to you both on the air and off the air about this, of like season 1 when they show you the med packs from I'm like, this is from the game. That's an asset from the game, but it's in real life. To go to Vegas,
oh, the fusion course,
and
too.
immediately see the Kings, and then walk in and see the casinos in the hub, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. To see us that wasn't, as you were talking about, a glancing punch. We're there. Vegas is important, and now we're going to pick up the story, it seems, for season 3.
But also, Dogtown.
Still have us going on in there. Like, were you surprised that people weren't seeing a longer-term plan based on how you've done
still a thing,
long-term storytelling?
Partially, yeah. They
No,
still have
I
a
think,
news division.
It's understandable that you want everything to pay off immediately when you watch stuff.
Sure.
It does, given the scope of Fallout, we sort of decided like, hey, let's make sure we treat each element so it isn't just as a glancing blow or whatever. Like,
I still have a
you could have had
Yahoo
Deathclaw
email
appear in
account that I
season 1,
use on a
but you
weekly
probably
basis.
wouldn't have the time or
It's mostly for
to
like
treat it the way it
junk
should be.
mail
So
and
hey,
accounts,
Deathclaws, let's
legacy
really make
accounts
them
that I've
important
had
to
for
season
years,
2. And then
like
so those
EverQuest
kind of key
stuff.
elements, we're picking our places, and like, hey, when do you do super mutants? Like, hey, you might have a hint of it here, and then we're gonna do more of it later, right? And then geography.
Oh,
I think the best thing about the show versus what we do in a game,
MySpace is still a thing, Gray?
I think
I'll be
geography
damned. I did
is
not know
like
that.
the key element to what we do with Fallout. And you say, hey, there's a new Fallout, like, where is it set? Is like the first question. So treat the show that way. Hey, each season, where is it set? And so season 3 is going to take us on a journey to some new places that you've never seen in the Fallout universe, while still, because we're it's a long story, going back to the vault, going back to Vegas some, and so forth. But the one thing I've learned with TV and working with Jonah and Geneva and the folks is you can take your time, not in a way because you're trying to draw it out, because there's so much goodness there. You don't need to rush through some of these character moments. You can take your time and make sure they pay off the way that you really, really want them to. But we've discussed, hey, what's going to happen in season 3? How does the whole thing end? And even we don't know, okay, well, how many episodes does it take to get there? You kind of have to write, you have to shoot, you have to edit, and then some things kind of move around, but you still have
they're
that,
extremely
we're
involved
going
in the
here
show,
with
Stratica.
these characters.
They have creative
And it's
oversight
obviously
on
it's very,
scripts,
very character-driven.
elements. There's
We have
creative
3
elements.
really,
They have
really strong
team members working on
characters
art.
that often make you question, like, hey, would I do that? What would I do in that situation? And following their journeys. Yeah.
In your head / when you have these conversations with them, this is something we discussed on our spoiler cast for Fallout Season 2. Like, is there an end in mind for the show, or do you think it could just, and maybe there's an end in mind for Lucy's story, but you could see it going on and on and on?
There's an end in mind for these characters.
Okay.
Yeah. And this, we'll call it like this story.
Yeah.
There is an end in mind. Yes.
Okay. How many seasons is that? No, I'm kidding. You're not gonna tell me. I know.
I don't know. I personally don't like ones that overstay their welcome.
For sure.
I'll say that.
No, that's a great one. That's a great point. That's what
Yeah.
I would much
4 to
rather.
6. 4 to 6
That's what I
seasons
always
is good.
want. I want to be left wanting more. I don't want it to end and be like, oh man, well, seasons 9
5
and 10
is
were
a
garbage,
really
but
good
at least 11 ended
number to
happily.
shoot
Yeah.
for.
I mean, that's kind of the double-edged sword of having an extremely popular show. People want it to go on forever, but then sometimes they can lose their magic.
Sure.
So we'll see.
When you're talking about, what you're learning from telling the stories here and letting things grow or slow down and, let it germinate, I guess. is that doing reverberations into Elder Scrolls 6, the other Fallout projects you've talked about at length, saying that we have many Fallout projects? Is it changing the way you tell stories at Bethesda, I guess?
No, I don't think so. It's more on the game side. They've always kind of been long, meaning we see how much people play the games. You know, Skyrim is still could be our most played game 15 years later, right? And so people play these games for a really long time.
Thousands of hours
They might
they
put
play
it down
these
and come
games.
back to it. And so I still, you know, I think we want stories or sort of main quests that you feel like you, in quotes, finished the game. You finished like the main thing the game was the world's wanting you to do.
Yeah.
In kind of a 20 to 30 hour spot. Like that's kind of what we designed for. It often goes longer, but that's like our intent.
Yeah.
But then there's this whole world that you feel like in many ways is limitless, either through you know, quests that we have or content that's coming. And so
What he's telling me
we
that I
have
need to
over
do right
time,
now is
you
that
can
as
see
soon
it
as
in
we
our
wrap
games,
up
looked at
this
more
stream,
game
I need to go play
systems
more Starfield
that
tonight. That's what he's really telling me. Because that
and
new playthrough that I
continue
just
to
started,
reward you.
which was for funsies,
That gets,
we're only
you know,
like
the longer
7
you
hours
throw
in,
the stone
right?
out there. If you say, hey, someone's going to play this for 1,000 hours or 2,000 hours, which we see, you know,
I
making
don't
it
have 1,000 hours in
rewarding when you
Starfield yet.
get way out
Let's
there.
go.
It's still very hard.
Yeah, I would say it's nearly impossible.
a little
I can't
more than
imagine
halfway there.
sitting down and making a game and you're trying to make it great for the review period that people are going to go to, the normal in quotes, 20, 50, 60 hours somebody puts into it. But then, yes, the 2,000 hours somebody's going to go do. That seems like that would just be
that often ends up, like a character grind.
Sure. Well, I want to talk to you a little bit more about what's coming in these Fallout games, this Fallout world. All right. But I'll do that after, of course, I remind you that you can pick up a Kinda Funny membership, patreon.com/kindafunny, youtube.com/kindafunnygames, Apple or Spotify. You toss us $10. You get everything ad-free. That's more than 80 episodes of content a month. And, of course, you get your daily dose of me, Greg Miller, in a series we call Greg Way, alongside a bunch of good karma for supporting an 11-person, 11-year-old small business. But right now, you're not using your benefits, so here's a word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Boot.dev. Ready to learn a new skill and become a software developer? Kevin is, and that's why he's been using
Starfield comes to the
Boot.dev to learn
PlayStation,
code.
as
My
is
favorite
rumored.
feature is that you could find a solution
I will
that
probably
works,
cross the
but then
1,000 hours
afterwards,
mark
you can
with
hit
that
solution
playthrough,
and
because
see
I
the
will
way that they were trying to
totally
teach you to
do
it.
a
It's really
massive
cool.
like
Boot.dev
300
takes
plus
you from
hour
beginner
playthrough
to expert the fun way
of like the
through
Ultimate
a
Edition
hands-on
if it comes to like
RPG-like
the PS5.
experience. Plus, Boot.dev
100%.
just launched the Training Grounds, a place where you can grind infinite challenges.
I would
to
love
give
a
you
Starfield
as
TV
much
show.
practice as you need before you forge ahead in your own coursework. All content is free to read and watch. A paid membership unlocks interactive features like hands-on coding, progress tracking, and game mechanics. Bored learners quit. Smart learners never get bored. Learn to code
That's
by
right.
doing what you'll actually be doing
Real
at a
people
job,
never get bored.
building
Only
real
boring
projects.
people get
Go
bored,
to
kids.
boot.dev
Don't be
and
boring.
use code KINDAFUNNY to get 25% off your entire
Bubbleoni says
first
my
year
longest
of
character
the
grind is
annual
in
plan.
Fallout
That's
4 and was well
boot.dev
over
and
300
use code
hours, and I
KINDAFUNNY
still
to
didn't
get
do everything,
25%
not
off.
counting mods.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. You know what I hate? Trying to remember
All
my
29
payment info
settlements
when I
fully
get
built.
to the checkout page on all the websites I visit. You know what makes that a breeze? That big, beautiful purple pay button that has all my info stored. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the United States. From household names like Chubbies and Mattel to brands just getting started. Get started with your own design studio. With hundreds of ready-to-use templates, Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store that matches your
love The
brand
Expanse.
style.
Can't wait for
Get
the game.
word out like
Owl
you have
Cat
a
kicks
marketing
ass.
team behind you. Easily create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. See less carts go abandoned and more sales go with Shopify and their Shop Pay button. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/kindafunny. Go to shopify.com/kindafunny. As we ease back into the show, we turn our eyes to the super chats. Remember, you can ask Todd questions. You can ask me questions too, but it'd be a waste of your time. YouTube.com/kindafunnygames. Mellow Fellow says, what's Todd playing right now? Any new games? What are you playing, Todd Howard? Oh, you're muted. You muted yourself. What happened?
What am I playing?
There it is. Nice, buddy.
Actually, I'm playing Drop Duchy. Have you guys played this game?
I have played Drop Duchy. Yeah.
And like seduced me with like a little video in terms of like that kind of looks like Carcassonne mixed with Tetris mixed with other stuff I like. So it's a great, really creative, great game. So I'm really enjoying that. And College Football 26, I play competitively online. That's a high stress game, but I do enjoy it.
How good are you? You're playing competitively online. Are you like really good at it?
I'm pretty good. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
I'm in like whatever the Heisman ranking category of road to the national champ, college football playoffs. So.
Are you
I'm
running?
a big Notre Dame fan, and since they got screwed out of the playoffs, I am on my video game Notre Dame revenge tour.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Gray says I've got Expanse already pre-ordered. I'm a founder baby.
Jeremiah Love, which is basically a video game cheat code in football. So this is the year. This is the year for me to be good at video game football. But really, if you haven't, check out Drop Duchy. It's really
Barrett threw it up there.
It's a really elegant, smart game.
It's very good. Yes, Drop Duchy, a very impressive game. Yeah, if you're an audio listener, you are dropping tiles like Tetris, but it is not shapes. Well, they are shapes, I guess, but no, you're building a city as you go and doing all these things. Plus, of course, everything has to have the roguelike mechanic of the cards being dropped in there as well as you go. But yeah, building out your town as the pieces fall. It's an amazing piece.
It's great.
I want to say
I would buy a board game of this.
I don't want to speak out of turn. I want to say it launched in early access and then got a lot of updates, but it might have launched full bore and then keeps getting updates. Where as somebody who played it at launch, it keeps getting stuff. So Drop Duchy, a great game.
I've never heard of this.
Approved, which
this
I'm sure will be
fun.
on their Steam page.
Yeah, it's gonna put on the
Steam.
Steam.
Give him a quote.
Give it to him right now.
Play Drop Duchy.
What a quote from Todd Howard.
An elegant masterclass in game design in a genre that you think you've seen everything in.
Oh,
that was awesome. That is awesome. Put it on the back of the box. That doesn't exist.
It is, though. It's great.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be playing Celeste 2. We were at the content creator program for that.
Video games. Todd,
early
when do we
access
get
kicks
another
off on the
one
12th
of
of March.
Because you got it. The Oblivion remaster was a huge success.
Fallout 76 drops in a few weeks.
It drops on March 3rd. Season 24 and the Backwoods. We're aware.
Look, for us, that's a new
I know.
When it comes to development, for us, that's a new thing.
Is there a chip on the shoulder of the Fallout 76 team about that? Is there a chip on the shoulder of the Fallout? Every time they see it, Fallout 5 win, Fallout 1, and they're like, we are on update 66 of Fallout 76. Go give it a shot.
I wouldn't say a chip. We just want people to recognize how much work we're doing on Fallout that we're putting out.
That's fair.
Many times a year. Just we're really proud of it, and there's a great audience there. So, but it's understandable when these big franchises people love, whether it's Elder Scrolls, Fallout in particular, and that people want brand new experiences. We 1,000% get it, and let's just say, look, we're working on stuff. There's a time to announce that and talk about it, but we have a lot of irons in the fire right now and all of that.
Yeah, give me that update. Last time you were here, you were very cryptic. Said, we have multiple Fallout projects at work for multiple. Give me a number. How many numbers we got? Fallout 5, of course, that's happening.
Multiple. Multiple is still the number, yeah.
Multiple is still the number.
Okay,
yeah. But the Oblivion, surprise remaster launch, that was a big hit, right?
It was huge, actually.
People love that. That seems like a great thing to do with all sorts of Fallout.
Yeah, Fallout 76 is great.
I would say I'm softened on the whole remaster thing. There was a lot of conversation about, hey, should we remaster some of our games? You look at your catalog, you say, what's the right thing to do? We felt Oblivion was the right one. I am this is only for like the stuff we've made here that I've made.
Sure.
I'm sort of anti-remake. I respect the other ones out there, but I think part of the age of a game is part of it's part of what it is, like its personality and what it represented when it came out. And so as we approached Oblivion,
it's a mark of its time.
I definitely wanted it to be a remaster, but kind of the absolute best version of that you can imagine. And so the original game was important to us that the original game was running. It was like, okay, well, imagine you had patched that game many, many, many times for like many years. You had patched it. What would you have done? And so we sort of took that approach with sprinting and some other things. And then graphically, let's just make it look modern, but still in the style it was, right? So we're not going to redesign the armor to be something new in the Elder Scrolls. It's like that version of it looking the way you kind of remember, but up-res. So, I mean, that was our approach to that game, and fortunately, it was, you know, it was really, you know, bigger than we imagined. Another thing, I mentioned Fallout Season 2, but another thing where the sort of dartboard of outcomes, when you're touching a kind of, you know, game with the legacy of like Oblivion, most of the outcomes in the dartboard are bad, right? You can mess with what it was for people. And so we talked about that, like, hey, here's the sliver that we need to hit that kind of, you know, not just acknowledges the legacy, but in many ways enhances it. And so really proud of the work everyone did on it. And so we're very happy with it. And, you know, clearly given the success of that remaster, we think about others, but we'll see what happens.
Fair enough. I'll give it to you. I'll let that go. Fine.
All right.
You know, maybe I'll play a Fallout one day. Maybe Ben will be 20. He'll be 20 years old when he plays it. Let's move on then. Since you're not going to confirm anything about my Fallout games or remasters and how they can just shadow drop at any time and for the rest of time, every time.
I do like shadow drops. I will say that.
I know you do.
That is my preferred method. And so anything said before a shadow drop or that moment, I don't know if I like the phrase shadow drop, before that moment where you learn about it, anything beforehand or leaks or everything, it just takes away from that moment. And I think that moment is really, really special. And so that's what we try to focus on.
All right, for real, then let's stop and have a conversation about that, because I do want perspective on that. As you know, in terms of video game talkers, there's a hierarchy, right? There's Jeff Keighley, and then there's me. And so I get inside information all the time. And one of those DICE conversations you and I were having, you were like, we're remastering Oblivion. It's going to be a shadow drop. We're just going to do this thing, and it'll just be out and be great. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. And then like 2 months later or whatever, however long, stuff started leaking or whatever. When you wake up and you look at your phone or your email and you see that first time, it's just like, motherfucker, or is it just like, well, did you think you were going to make it to had you run the scenarios and you're like, you know, there's like a 90% certainty at some point something's going to leak, some asset gets uploaded, I can't be upset about it? Or did you not see that coming and you were super mad?
Well, we've been through so many leaks. In the moment, you're always pissed off. Because it kind of, you know, they ruin a moment that the team's been working on, that you want to be able to present what you're doing in the right way. And it's not to keep it secret. It's because you want to make that game, that moment, special for the fans, special for the studio. And sometimes those leaks, they ruin it some, or they might misinterpret a detail that everybody kind of latches onto.
Interesting. That
being said, like that moment of sort of being annoyed with it goes by pretty fast, because I've also found historically, and this is true for other people, I point out all the time, I don't think a leak has ever affected the success of a game. And there have been some really bad ones. But at the end of the day, I can't think of any that really affected the success of that game when it came out.
Yep.
So we sort of take it for what it is. You do your best. I try not to be draconian internally. Some places will really keep things under lock and key. We share really freely in the studio, so everybody gets to see everything. And there's a trust level, like our ability to share stuff even internally across our studio and the company and stuff, is our ability to share it is everybody's ability to keep it secret. So we've actually had very few internal ones, but given the complexity and the number of partners and everything involved, you know, it's natural that you'll get some, and I think you gotta kind of roll with it.
Okay, fair enough. Top of the show, you mentioned we're hot off of DICE. We're coming in. DICE was last week, obviously a humongous show. For people who don't know, for you, what is DICE? Obviously, it's the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences. Everybody comes together in Vegas, and the idea is roundtables and learning and yada, yada, yada. But, like, is that still what it is for you? What do you view as DICE being? Other than a great award show I host.
It is a great award show.
Thank you.
There's two things. There's like the personal side. Like for me, what I get out of it, I've gone for a long time. I would say sort of the other studio heads or people I know, I see you there. A lot of the people I know are there, and I can just have casual
He
conversations
can
and
be
dinners with
himself.
and learn what
Yes.
they're doing and learn more and talk about what we're doing, meet with partners. And so that's just a really condensed sort of special time for me. The other part is the industry aspect of it. I'm on the board of directors of the Academy and have been for
Yeah,
a
he does seem
while.
like a super
And
chill guy.
sort of, I think DICE and really the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences is really there to sort of elevate the conversation around game making, celebrate it, and the new people coming into the industry sort of connect people. I think there's a lot of work to do there, right? DICE existed for a long time for the conference and for the awards. And one of the things we're talking a lot about is, there's so many people, game developers, depending what company you're in, you're a part of the Academy and they don't know it. And I think there's more that the Academy can do for game developers to elevate what they're doing, elevate the conversation, and all of that. It's also in Europe and other places. So if you look at the other academies in entertainment and what they do across those things, I think that's the role it fulfills, and DICE is obviously a big part of that.
During the awards ceremony, of course, the awards are brought out on stage by AIAS scholars. And then also this year, we had a big table for them to sit at and have all this other stuff with the other people that are there. For you, I'm not saying you're in the twilight of your career, but you've been doing this a long time, right? And you are Todd Howard. Like you're at the top of the mountain in so many different respects, right? When you look at them, what are you telling them as the industry wrestles with layoffs, AI, what's going on as people consolidate into these things, and then it's all shareholders and this, that. Like, it seems like obviously you listen to this show. I know you listen to Games Daily occasionally. Like, it's a lot of bad news a lot of times, and I, as a fan, get bummed out by that. But I can't imagine I'm leaving college, I'm starting on my journey to be a game dev, and seeing all this.
Yeah, look, it's a great question. And I listened to the show yesterday and I thought you guys had a pretty interesting conversation about it. And you ended up kind of where my head was too, which is you see that in our industry, and people coming out are kind of worried. They read about it. Am I gonna? And I say to them, you should absolutely do it. If you're a new person, you have more opportunities to make a game and get it out there than anyone's ever had. And if you look at the level of creativity, like, step away from economics or big economics and look at the games that are coming out and look at the creativity in them and the audiences they are finding. Look at the Game of the Year nominees at DICE. Like, that list is incredible, and there could have been more. So if I look at what's coming out, what people are talking about, or what they're playing, and I look at the industry, I'm like, this is incredible. But then, yes, behind the scenes, kind of those waves of like, well, what's it like for, big development teams? You're in a lot of question mark spots where, hey, what should a budget be on a game?
Yeah.
That's a big question mark. And what kind of audience are you going to find? Like, what are the chances that makes any money? That's hard right now. And people are wrestling with that, because so many people are playing games, whereas you used to think about, all the games you would buy and click through and then go to GameStop and trade them in or do whatever. And you were kind of like going through games, and now people, you have the big games dominating the time, or a game that you love, you spend a lot of time in. I say this as somebody kind of like, our games benefit from that, where people do spend a lot of time in them.
For sure.
But I kind of think wider across the industry. So I think the level of creativity and the stuff coming out, I mentioned Drop Dutch, is it could be the best we've ever had. But then you have all those other things going on that I think people are working really, really hard to solve.
Okay. What came out this year in conversations about AI? Obviously, this is a hot button issue. I saw, you got quoted by Eurogamer talking about it being a tool, right? It'll never replace people, but it's a tool that's here. Are you seeing other folks use it the same way or have that same opinion of it, or they think it's a fad, or where are we at with AI from your side?
Well, look, it's certainly not a fad. I think the AI answer now becomes ask me in 6 months, right? It changes so much what you're seeing out there. For us, we're being like incredibly cautious, kind of viewing it as a tool, like an analyst. Look at the data in our games. We're not using it to generate anything.
Sure.
I think there's such an element of artistic intention that is essential to what we do and others do. And if you look across things outside of AI, like sort of go back 100, like this idea of craftsmen, I still think craftsmen and that handcrafted human intention is what makes things special.
Sure.
And that's where we want to be. But you can't ignore it in terms of it's coming, it's changing every few months. There's a new model.
I would like to pause this for a minute because there was a great conversation. It's been years ago now, but they did an interview with Gordon Ramsay, and he was talking about when you're a gourmet chef, right? And you're at that top level, you're a 3-star Michelin chef, and you know how to take a potato and craft it into the most elegant thing that a person could put into their mouth, right? But then there's also the knowledge that sometimes you just need to take a dozen potatoes, throw them in a pot of boiling water, get them soft, and make mashed potatoes. So it's knowing that the pot and the pot of water is just a tool, and sometimes, as much as you might want to focus on the artistry and the craft of making the perfect elegant dish with a potato, sometimes you just got to use the tools to make a batch to make mashed potatoes. And I think that's where AI comes into place, is knowing that AI is a tool. It is here to stay. It's going to be changing all the time. The tools are going to continue to get more powerful, and how we leverage those tools is an important thing. It's been pretty low key tonight. We've only had to ban 2 people, and it was 2 accounts on Kick, actually, Devon, which was who tried to. One person was saying, "Hey, check out me. I'm also live streaming this show," and then the other person was trying to sell me their ViewBot services. So we had to ban both those people. That was early on. That was when we had the screen flickers, because I forgot to run this on my other machine tonight. So I'm on one, and it gets cranky when I tab out.
Particularly in the tech side,
But
with
it's been a
code or
good crowd tonight.
productivity or other things. And I would just say we're looking at that stuff. We're not like
Thankfully,
fully ignoring it, because where it can help us,
I think all
sort
the
of
Bethesda haters are
get
overwatching
better at some
Luke
big
Stevens,
data tasks
'cause
that
he
just
also
take
went
us a
live
lot of time
earlier.
that we just wish
So
were
let
done
them
now,
have their.
Sure.
so we can move on to the creative
We'll
stuff.
let them have their
That's
anger
kind of where our heads are. But I think it's still
crowd.
very early
We're the
days.
cool kids
Yeah,
who love
yeah.
Bethesda over here in my community.
Yeah, it's been an interesting back and forth, and I feel like the conversation gets so lost because when you say AI now, people think Gen AI, and they think it's writing the quest, it's making the environment, it's doing the thing. Whereas I think, I'd like to think, and maybe I'm naive and I'm not at studios, but it feels like the people I talk to are talking about what you're doing of, well, let's coalesce data. Let's do this thing that would take hours of boring, busy work through an Excel spreadsheet versus
I
not
use it to
generating and
create
making
subtitles
the
for
game. But then
my
you do hear people wanting to
TikTok
make the game
shorts,
with it, and then you're
Instagram
like, I don't know what
Reels,
the hell's
and
happening anymore.
YouTube shorts. AI does all my
we just have so much
all my
data in our
subtitles.
games, and so much data that even we classically generate, with our own procedural systems,
Saves me
or
so much time.
long-term play analysis, and using those systems to like help us with that or validate some things that we're thinking. I
also
think
use it
has a
for
lot
ideas
of use, today.
through ChatGPT.
Again, this is something that's changing really rapidly.
Sure.
And
If I
we'll
want to
see
come
where
up
it
with
goes.
like an idea for a
The
10-part
one last thing
video
I want to hit on
series.
from DICE was Vince Zampella, of course, passed away tragically in December. They did a DICE tribute there. You spoke there. I wanted to read this passage from Stephen Totillo's Game File report on the tribute. Quote, Vince was the real deal. Longtime Bethesda game designer and leader Todd Howard said on stage at DICE, describing their 20-year friendship. Quote, I would always seek his advice with every game that I did, or how to maneuver on all that is going on in the industry, end quote. Todd, I'm so sorry for your loss. What is it to you that made him your friend and then made him so special in this industry? Because this was something that I've had geez, man, the blessing to work with Vince a handful of times in interviews or segments or things like that. And he was always such a great, personable, ask me about the family dude. And then to find out he's that way with everyone while also having his head on the shoulders for games this way. Like for you, what made him so special?
Yeah, thanks for asking. It's a tough subject.
Of course.
And like, Vince and I were about the same age. We met right after Allied Assault, that incredible E3 demo they did. And kind of like we came up in the industry together. And as the industry got like larger and more complex, like his ability to maneuver it and my own ability to maneuver it. And he was sort of, if you think about his career of like changing studios and publishers and being able to do the level of work with the level of change that he went through. And he was the same exact, that's what I told you, he was the same exact person. I said in the talk, I think they're going to put it online. It's like, Vince was the least full of shit person that you met. He would call it as he saw it. And he had no fear, right? His ability to kind of push through that. Like, this is what the game needs. This is what the team needs. And I don't personally care what I have to do to make that happen. I don't care what I have to do to protect it. He was the real deal. And I mean, if you've been to DICE, or most people listening would never been to DICE, but you would see Vince there. Like a lot of people would see Vince there, and he's such like people would gravitate toward him because he was the real deal, and just an incredible loss.
It is cool being a cool kid
for the industry. Obviously, the teams that he worked out at Respawn, his family, his friends.
Down with negative Nancy's.
I don't think there'll be another Vince Zampella, both as a person or with that kind of record of topping themselves, given everything that's changing around them. It's just like impossibly hard. So yeah, he's a very, very, very special guy to many people.
Thank you for sharing that. And again, I'm sorry for your loss. It is interesting. You mentioned, you and Vince were the same age or about the same age and stuff like that. I feel like something that comes up a lot of times when I see you get interviewed and when I have a conversation with you on camera like this is the idea of where are you at in your career? Like I mentioned earlier, I'm not saying it's the twilight of your career, but you've been on the record as before. Like these games take a long time, so I don't know how many more I have in me. Like, how are you still viewing that right now in 2026?
I think maybe 4 or 5 years ago, it was because of the pandemic, I would think about it like, hey, what's my plan? What am I going to do? And now I don't know. I just don't think about it. I got to be honest. I'm too excited about the games that
you're like, I got games to make. I can't think about that.
Yeah, I think about the studio and the people here, and I just love it. Like you sit down and, was at lunch today with a bunch of folks brainstorming about the new game that we're doing, and you leave that, and I get so excited. I just want to play this game. I just want to work on it with these people, and I love it. I have done it for a very long time. What is it? Over 3 decades now. But it doesn't feel that way, honestly. And I think it's the greatest like form of entertainment, creative kind of avenue mixed with technology. I love both of those things. And I just love working with people here, want to play these games and do it as long as I can.
Excellent answer. Todd, I know we're almost out of time with you. Are you ready for some super chat speed questions? They've been coming in.
Sure, absolutely.
Clear your mind, get out of it.
Tuning in.
Oh, no problem. Resolute has the most important one. Does Todd want to join my college football 26 dynasty?
Maybe.
Put me down as a strong maybe.
I don't know. My time is, I just want to jump in. I don't even play the ultimate team. Like I don't want to manage a team.
Sure.
I don't do the recruiting. I just get in and grind just head-to-head ranked. Like so.
Fair. Okay. I feel
like I might disappoint them. That's all.
That's stream. I want to stream of you just fucking beating the doors off people in college football. Brendan Lucas super chats. I've been getting a real kick out of creations. Is there any planned evolution of the program for larger scale creations supported by Bethesda?
Yeah, we've done a little bit of that. If you've seen some of the Kingath creations and
Yes,
other
Kingrath
ones,
does
and like I
big
said,
ones.
we have a ways to go there. There's some wacky rules with like storage and other things that we're working with the platforms on, kind of solving. It's great on the PC where we can do that, but we are in a world where when we do those things to support, we really want to have them on all the platforms at once. Yeah.
Parker JG says, Todd, big fan of yours and Bethesda Game Studios. I found Starfield to be a very impressive accomplishment, but missed the organic exploration. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's a good criticism. I think when you look at the criticisms of Starfield, the way you explore in that game, given the nature of what it is just it's tricky. It's harder. You're going to land on ice balls. You have outer space is big. I think we did a lot of good things, but I think the nature of that problem is really hard. And look, I think for some people, understandably, I'm not like Starfield can be a boring game, and we have some things in the new update, I will say, that make that procedural sort of what you're getting better, but I don't think it changes the nature of the exploration per se.
Okay, fair.
We had a really interesting conversation about this playing Starfield, I think the day before yesterday, because we were addressing someone who was asking about why are there no aliens in Starfield. I want aliens. I want Mass Effect, right? I want to have a Mass Effect universe with 1,000 planets. And I was like, I just don't think that you fundamentally understand what Starfield is, not on a mechanical level, but on a story level. Starfield is the story of humanity in space and grav drives and the Starborn and humanity exploring the solar system and these galaxies and all of these planets. And humanity is in the early stages of that exploration. So we have these 1,000 planets that you can go to and you can find remnants of and little things like POIs and pirate stations and things of that nature, but we don't have massive civilizations or massive cities and everything else set up on all of these planets because humanity hasn't been out there for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years. And when you look at a game like Mass Effect, exactly, Babylonia. Go play Mass Effect if you want that, dork. With Mass Effect, you're dealing with a storyline that has many, many, many other species who have been out there for thousands of years, for millions of years, even while humanity has been in this bubble. Humanity discovers this drive that allows them to access technology that they didn't have previously, and suddenly they discover this massive universe out there where there's all of these other races and these other planets and all these other economies and everything. That's a completely different type of story that's being told. It's not the story of humanity and exploring space. It's the story of humanity entering into a populated space full of other aliens. So I think when you understand what the story of Starfield is, and it's the story of humanity and the Civil War. Right, great cat. Like there is a loneliness in Starfield that is the nature of being humans in that open space. And aliens would destroy that. Right, exactly. They've only been in space, they've only been up there for a few hundred years. So they haven't been out there for thousands of years populating. And I also like to think when people say things like about Mass Effect, it's like Mass Effect had a handful of planets. You have 1,000 planets with Starfield. So it gives them a lot of room to explore and expand based upon that initial, we're just getting started with the storyline, and now we'll let it unfold over these hundreds / thousands of years as the expansions come out and as we get into, the second game and so on and so forth.
Bander SN says, hey, Todd, love the Great Circle. Girlfriend named our puppy Indy after playing it together.
The Great Circle was a phenomenal game. Done two playthroughs.
I adore that game. That was definitely something that had been in my head for a long time, and just working with the folks at Machine Games was incredible. Working with Troy Baker,
No.
Your little back and forth with Troy at Dice was my highlight. You don't want to talk about that?
Troy is a persona non grata here and right now. All right, after everything he's pulled.
Troy, I don't think people. I think
That's
people
right.
know
Starfield's
Troy's
like a blank
work,
canvas, sneaky.
but
Exactly.
they actually don't know how good Troy is. Like when you work with Troy, he commits unlike anyone I've ever
Yeah,
worked
and the
with
multiverse
in
idea
that
with
area.
the New Game Plus is super clever.
He's bar none the best at it. I will work with him every single time. He's the best.
But in the fight him and I are having, you're on my side, yeah?
We'll just say for this brief moment. You calling him?
Why do I think that I'm going to be on your stupid show right now?
Because Troy, I'm interviewing Todd Howard, and he's on my side. I wanted you to know he's on my side. Okay.
I said for a few seconds, Troy.
Todd Howard, a guy who made your career.
God, that name sounds familiar. Hold on. Did he do? Hold on. He did. He's in games.
Yeah.
Oh, Todd. Yeah.
I take back everything I said.
Yeah, see, there it is. Now you pissed off Todd even more. Bye, Troy. Nice try. I'm replacing you in Indiana Jones. No, Ben Starr. Ben Starr's going to replace you in Indiana Jones too. Now, bye. Oh, God. And you have to put up with that all the time. It's not fair. It's not fair. It has to be like this. I'm trying to get you one. Okay, last one. Here's a good one. You ready, Todd? Final one, then you can go home, okay?
Let's do it.
Sassy Lassie says, when is the Elder Scrolls 6 coming out? Remember, she paid to ask this question. Don't disappoint your fans.
Not this week.
Not this week.
Todd Howard, thank you so much for making the time to join us.
One day it'll be here. One day it'll be.
Take all the time you want. We want it to be as good as
I
possible.
don't think people want to hear that.
Jesus, not Troy calling back. Hold on. No, I'm trying to outro the show, Troy.
Oh, well, I'm a great outro.
Okay, so you got to thank Todd. Remind everybody to subscribe, like, and share, and and then you say, until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.
Okay, so first of all, Todd Howard is one of the best people working in this business. That is absolute. Everyone knows this. Make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you for being a part of Like a Chair. And whatever the last part was. I don't really take line reads. You know what I mean? Make it organic and my own thing.
It's fair enough, Troy. You've earned it. You can do whatever you want. Thank you for calling back. We love you.
Bye.
All right, bye. Todd, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Go make some of these games. Finish some of these games, all right? And keep listening.
I always do,
Thank you.
Great seeing you, man.
Pleasure seeing you.
Sorry we didn't catch up at Dice. I think this was better.
This was better. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'll dodge the coffee dates forever if it gets me content. I appreciate that. Everybody, thank you for watching, listening. Remember, of course, youtube.com/kindafunnygames. Like, subscribe, share. Podcast services around the globe. Twitch all the time. Get your patreon.com/kindafunnygames subscription. And, of course, until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.
That was a phenomenal show, guys. I have actually never watched an episode of the Kinda Funny Gamecast before. This is my first time watching a full episode. I have caught clips before, but I've never sat and watched a whole show. And I gotta say, I may have to start watching this more regularly because that was really good. Part of it is I just like Todd's casual nature, but what is his name? Ben? Is his name, or Greg? Greg, I think is his name. Yeah, that was good stuff. So thanks to those guys for putting this together and for getting us this interview. We got a ton of Starfield details at the beginning of that, which I'm going to be clipping out and getting out onto YouTube in the next little bit. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, my favorite part was Todd saying, for those of you, he's like, it's not, the update that's coming is not Starfield 2.0. If you didn't really care for Starfield at the beginning and didn't resonate with you, you found it meh or whatever, the update's not going to change that. So, yeah, it's just for those of you who loved Starfield, this is going to be more stuff that you love, and it's going to continue to make the game you love even better. I loved that. That's getting clipped out, and that's going to be the first video that goes live on YouTube here in a little bit. But overall, it was a great chat. A lot of juicy details about Fallout along the way. A bunch of stuff about Fallout 76 in there as well. So if you missed any of this, you can always go back and watch the full recap if you want to watch my reaction to it. There's also a link down below to the original if you want to go over there and make sure to follow along with their stuff, and make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon at the Kind of Funny Gamecast YouTube channel as well. Correct, Belittle. Starfield was never broken in the first place. But I do appreciate his candor and his honesty in letting people know that, look, it's not going to change the game. Like, it's not like you're suddenly going to wake up and, oh my God, Starfield is this brand new experience, and now I love the game. He's like, if it didn't resonate with you the first time, it's still not going to resonate you. It's just a great way of him saying, haters going to hate. But the rest of you, get ready, because you're going to be able to have more Starfield to enjoy. So, I'm going to go clip some stuff and get it out on YouTube, everybody. I will be back tomorrow morning with some more stuff in our morning stream tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Central, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and TikTok. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Appreciate that, CC Felton. CC Felton says, let's do more of these. The community is right. This community is right for proper gaming communities. Yeah, so, we're here for the right reasons. We're here because we love games and we love Bethesda, and we might critique things from time to time, but I definitely don't do the whole, this is insane, and we definitely don't make statements about how, this is the game Bethesda should have made, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. I had a good time. Thanks for hanging out tonight, everybody. I will see you tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of your evening.